HandJobs Media is the fetish world's marketing specialist. They help businesses large and small address the fetish market, get their message out to customers. HandJobs Media give out what they call baddie bags at fetish events. They contain leaflets, flyers, special offers, all that kind of thing. And their client list includes just about everybody who's anybody in the fetish world. The boss is Michaela van Es. Let's meet her. At what point did you start to think that maybe the fetish market would be a whole new business career for you?
Well, I spent a lot of time on the scene, more time than I care to tell people actually. And I was working as a business advisor at the time, and I was made redundant. I spent a lot of time really enjoying the scene, active on the scene. And when I was made redundant, I thought, well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and actually do what you're paid to do and start your own business? It was like I've been hanging out with all these cool people for such a long time and having a great time. And at one time I thought, wouldn't it be nice to just do this all the time and not have to go to work on a Monday morning? Be careful what you wish for. And now we have HandJobs Media, which is 10 years old. So yeah, it was a happy accident, I think.
Now, would you agree with me? I've always thought that the fetish world, one of its charms, it's not a negative thing, but there are many, many businesses, people who make rubber clothes, people who make bondage gear, all kinds of stuff. There are hundreds of them, but they're all run by amateurs. That is to say, they have no cash flow, they have no business plan, and basically they're just hobbyists. Does that hold them back? Am I right in thinking that? And does it hold them back?
I think in my experience, the fetish industry does tend to veer more towards the creative, artistic type of person. And if one's talents lie in that area, it doesn't necessarily mean that they lie in marketing or accounting or web design. Yeah, the products that people make, I think that it comes from the heart. They enter the fetish industry because they have a passion for creating whatever it is they create. And a lot of my clients are like that, which is why HandJobs Media is good for this type of industry, because it can help people get their message across to their market. I'm not creative in the sense of being able to make jewellery or design clothes or anything like that, but I do know sales and marketing. And everybody needs somebody to take care of the aspect of their business that they're not good at. For example, I have an accountant, I have a web designer, and people do need marketing if they are going to have a sustainable business, in my experience.
So if you're designing rubber frocks or bondage gear, making bondage gear at home or anything like that, what about the fact that you've got no investment? So you can't afford to do any advertising or marketing because you've got no money. None of these businesses have an investment. They don't know what a cash flow is, for example.
It's a good question. I think when you start a business, it's not always necessary to put a whole lot of money into marketing. You can start very small and build your business gradually. And I think if you have a creative endeavour, you have to do that. Just because you don't have investment doesn't mean you can't start a business. What you do need to do is do some marketing, because without marketing, your sales will just be very, very, very slow, and you may end up with no business. And as your sales build, then you can invest some money into marketing, but you've got to make your marketing budget work hard these days. Everybody has to. There are a lot of things you can do with no cost or low cost marketing, but at some point, it's important to recognise that there is a return on your marketing investment, and you do need to think about marketing. Otherwise, unless of course you just want to sort of troll along and build your business very slowly. If it's a hobby and it's not your main source of income, then fine. Yeah, you can get along without doing very much marketing.
Well, you talk about marketing and you talk about sales. Now, let's have a technical question. Is marketing what I think it is? That is to say, not the same as sales at all. I would say that marketing is the art of making sure that your goods or your services that you're selling are what people want to buy at a price they're prepared to pay. Completely different from sales, which is just selling stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Marketing is, in my opinion, it should be central to a business, because without marketing, you don't really have a business. Sales is one part of marketing. Marketing involves, selling getting the right product at the right price, being able to get your product to people who want to buy it, and also promoting your product. And I would see sales as a big part of the promotion, in terms of, okay, well, it's all very well having a product at the right price and being able to get it to people, but how are you going to sell it? So marketing and sales are I think, interdependent, and without sales, there's not much point in doing marketing.
So BMW and Ford, for example, are very famous for excellent marketing. They work out, do people want performance, do they want comfort, do they want safety? They put a lot into that. What colours do people want their cars to be? And then they produce that, and then they go for sales. Whereas Apple, and I'm saying that most fetish businesses are more like the Apple model, where they don't give a damn about that. They just build something they think is fabulous and then hope people buy it. And famously, the iPod, when it came out, many Apple products, it's just something they think is great. People don't even know they need it, they don't even know they want it. Apple just produce it, it's wonderful, and hope that people buy it.
If you're Apple, you have a brand name that is established, and you already have a market. If you are some rubber frock company, unless you have an established brand name, it's very difficult for people to recognise, like, oh, here's something I want from somebody I've never heard of. It doesn't work that way. People who have established their brand can do more with their brand name because people know them and they trust them. For example, Skin 2 magazine has been going a long time. It's like, it is synonymous with quality production, fantastic photographs, really great interviews. HandJobs Media, we've now been going 10 years, which I can't quite believe. People know us and trust us. If you're a new entrant into the market, it doesn't matter what you have if people don't actually know. People are very, I think, unwilling to make any kind of emotional or financial investment in buying something unless they know what it is they're buying. Of course, there's always the flash in the pan. 50 Shades of Grey, for example, which is not necessarily a quality product by...
Well, it's a disastrous product, but fantastically successful, as we know. Where did that come from? So let's be specific now about what exactly HandJobs Media does for fetish businesses. Now, I know that fetish clubs all over the UK, you attend these and you give out baddie bags, which is like goodie bags, but naughty ones, and all the punters going to these clubs are given a little bag with leaflets and stuff like that from various fetish firms. So that's all I know. So imagine that I'm in the fetish business, I'm making bondage gear or something like that, and you're going to come to me and say, Tim, this is really going to help your business. So sell that idea to me.
Okay, if it was going to help your business, I'm not saying that we can help every business, but because it's a very tightly targeted market. We hand out at Torture Garden, Club Subversion, Decadence, London Alternative Market, Club Bizarre, Club Lash in Manchester. We're the sole flyer agents for London Fetish Weekend. Basically, we hand out 2,000 of our baddie bags every month, and the contents change every month, so they're not always the same. We also hand out free samples, there are special discounts, special offers, and they're presented in a nice bag. We work inside the clubs. We're not standing in hoodies outside. We're always in full dress code, and we physically hand the bags to people as they leave the clubs, hence the name HandJobs. People promote for different reasons. For example, if you're well known, you have a well-known brand, and if you want to shift some stock for a sale, it's a very good way to get people to come and visit your sale and buy the stock. If you're announcing an event, if you are launching a brand or a product, but you need to tell people about it, whatever it is that you do need to get that message across to people, and there are different ways of getting your message across. Print media is certainly one. It's like flyers in your hand with an image or images, and it tells you, okay, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is what I'm offering, this is what I'd like.
So would you agree with me that people in the fetish business, because they're small businesses, they're quite amateurish, they often think that they can do everything online because they regard that as free, and you're giving out your message in print form, in the form of leaflets and flyers and all that. So print media is still very, very important. I mean, in parallel with this, take glossy magazines. Major brands, if you buy a women's magazine, a men's magazine, a car magazine, it's packed with advertisements for major brands. So print advertising is just as important as ever it was. And you can't do it all online. So they need you with your leaflets, your flyers and all that. And people buy. Does that make sense to you?
It makes perfect sense. In my opinion, marketing needs to be integrated. Yeah, it is not one or the other. It is not digital or print. It needs to be whatever medium is right for you that reaches your target market. And where HandJobs Media is good is you've got your target market. It's a self-selecting audience as well. It's like people go to clubs, and they take our bags, which means that your flyer is getting seen by people. Of course, there is a place for digital media, and increasingly so. If you look at the statistics for digital media, I mean, you've got a short amount of time to get somebody's attention. And how many times do people need to actually see your message before it gets to the point where they become a customer? I mean, it's estimated that it takes about 6 or 7 impressions to get recall from somebody if you actually see it in print. On digital, on the internet, it's more like 20 to 30 impressions, because people just pass by very, very quickly. And the images are short, they're short-lived, they don't stay with you. So how long have you got to get that person's attention? And it's like you've got about a second.
Well, that's a big point, isn't it? Yeah. If you get a leaflet, you might throw it away, but very often you will study it, you'll pop it in your pocket, you'll take it home, you'll leave it around the kitchen, you'll look at it, as you will with an ad in a glossy magazine. If you see an ad in Vogue or some car magazine, often you'll look at it quite a bit because it'll be attractively presented. Yeah. But moving on from that, now HandJobs Media, if I understand correctly, as well as doing this service of giving the leaflets out and all that, you also advise businesses, because I recall that a very nice man from Milan makes the most beautiful shoes that are wonderful quality, quite expensive, and the heels are actually butt plugs, which is something pretty fabulous, I think. And you actually advised this firm on how to present, how to sell this rather out to lunch, weird and wonderful concept.
Yeah, are we allowed to mention names at all?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, ANCT shoes. They're fabulous.
They are, and Stuart. Yeah, Stuart Tom. I adore Stuart and his shoes.
Shoes with heels that are butt plugs. We could be having this conversation, and you could.
We could.
So you advise firms like that have this wonderful fetishistic product, but then how are they going to find a market for that? And you will help them and talk to them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did with Stuart before.
Have you got a pair?
He's making a special pair because I actually have big feet.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that he's going to sign them for me.
And how about specific skills as well? Like these leaflets and things, they can be well designed, they can be badly designed, they can be well written, they can be badly written, and often you find that someone will say, oh, my son will design this on his PC, which when my heart sinks, because graphic design is such a skilled business. And copywriting, people think, well, I can write, I've got O-level English, I can write, but copywriting, I mean, I used to be a copywriter, and it's such a skill. Do you advise them, put them onto people who can do all these various things?
That's a big question. Yes. I have tried to write my own copy. Yeah, I'm good at sales, I'm good at marketing. I can't write copy for toffee. I can't design websites, and I'm not a graphic designer. I have a web designer. I have a graphic designer. I would advise people to get the best that they can afford and not rely on friends, unless your friend is a professional copywriter or web designer. I think the other problem with relying on friends is that if they're not professional, then there is a mismatch often between what your business wants from that professional, who isn't, and what you actually get in terms of delivery, timing, quality. If it goes wrong, it's like, oh well, it's a mate. and it's very difficult to do business with.
You really need a professional, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, if your mate is good at do-it-yourself and you need an operation, you're not going to get them to cut you open and stitch you up and things. You know?
Yes.
Most fetish businesses put out ads and do clips on YouTube and all that. And most of them, I would say to you, are really crap. But there's one that we get all the time. I don't think they're clients of yours, so I'm not particularly plugging you, but it's Lelo. They make Lelo. They make vibrators and the like. And their clips and their advertising and their copywriting is all professionally done. And I'll bet you that they get many more sales that easily justify the cost of hiring these professionals, which will be a good reason to steer people your way to hire you.
It's I think sometimes it's easy to forget if you're a creative person, you're running a business, you have friends perhaps in the industry who are doing that, and you like to collaborate with people that you know, which is great. Yes, you do need to hire a professional if you want to run your business professionally. I would say it's you could get somebody who's got a maths A level to do your accounts. That's not going to really help when the tax man comes knocking at your door and say, excuse me. Copywriting is one of the things that I think is hugely important. Web design, professional photography. It's just if you want to be professional, you need to work with professionals. If you want to come across as amateur, then fine, work with amateurs, but don't expect to be up there and making a fortune or set the world on fire with what you're doing, because it's going to look amateurish.
Over recent years, I think the fetish market has broadened out. So the old idea of fetish clubs, of which there are more and more all the time, and that's great. Clubs where people dress up in rubber and suspenders and spank each other and all that's great. But now you've got burlesque. I'm thinking of, and that's much, much broader. You can almost pretty much take your kids to a burlesque show, which you might not want to do to a fetish club. So do you find it's all broadening out and more stuff is getting lumped into a sort of alternative sex type scene that's not just fetish clubs?
I know what you mean. I think increasingly, I've been on the fetish scene for for a long time, a couple of decades. I've been running HandJobs Media for 10 years now, and the scene has changed. When I first went to clubs, it was you advised me and took me. You had to have a password. It was all very kind of and you had to be taken by a friend, and people didn't talk about it. Now the market has widened massively. People are interested. In fetish, it's not quite the same as if you're into fetish. If I go to a club, I'm going to have my genitalia nailed to a plank of wood in the corner. And there are places you can do that, of course, but it is not what the fetish scene is about. Fetish scene is a very, very broad church, as you know, and more people are becoming interested. Burlesque is Dita Von Teese has done lots to publicise burlesque. People they like to dress up. They like to have a good time. They like to be with other people who like that kind of thing, of course.
So this broadening out, this is increasing your world. You get involved with burlesque and cabaret and stuff?
No, but it is increasing the market for the people that I work with, because there are more people coming into the fetish scene, and because we cover a lot of different types of clubs, and there are clubs for everybody. We if people want to go to a market, or they want to go to a big club that has 5 dance floors, or if they want to go to a smaller club where people play and socialise more, there is everything. The market is widening, which means that there are more and more people coming in to the market, which means that the people who promote with us reach more and more people. It's like rather than saying, okay, I want a share of a pie that is this big, it's like the pie is expanding. Which means the opportunity is expanding, the market is expanding. There are more people who would be interested in buying whatever it is you're selling.
And it's more acceptable, isn't it? Because years ago, even now, if you say you're going to a fetish club, any workmates, family members, colleagues, anyone like that, you probably wouldn't say that in front of them. But if you're going to a cabaret club, say cabaret, something like burlesque, anything like that, that's really socially acceptable. So that's helping the whole thing, isn't it?
I think it does, yeah. I think it does help the whole thing. People wearing clothes that may have previously been thought of as, oh, it's a bit naughty and it's a bit kinky, and now it's become mainstream fashion. It's in advertising, the iconography is everywhere.
So let's say someone wants to start a business in the fetish world, or they've just started one. If they ask me for some advice, one of the first things I'd do, I'd say, would be go and talk to Michaela at HandJobs Media. So along comes Fred Bloggs. He's starting a business, has something or other to do with fetish, a dungeon rental, clothing, something like that, whatever. So he comes along to you and says, I've started this business. What are the essential points you're going to say to him? For God's sake, do this or don't do that.
Okay. Before you start your business, you need to know your market. You've got to do some research. You can't just, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah. Okay, well, who are you going to sell it to? Yeah. Who are your competitors? Yeah. What do they do? How are you different from your competitors? What kind of price are you going to charge? How are you going to get your stuff to the people? That is all part of the research. If you don't know that, I think it's a very good idea to know that before you open a business, because otherwise you're flying blind.
Cash flow business plan?
Essential, I don't know. Cash flow business plan. Okay, let's look at, all right, let's not do a cash flow, let's not do a business plan. Okay, so we don't know if it's going to work on paper, but we're going to go all in there and we're going to run the business. We've got absolutely no idea what money we might have coming in. We don't know our costs. We don't know when we're going to break even. And we don't know who we're selling to. Yeah, okay, so what have we got? Well, we've got a very badly thought out business.
Or a hobby.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the whole thing about business is to make a profit. Yeah, the money comes in, money goes out, and if you've got more coming
in and out.
I didn't want to say it. I know. If you've got some left at the end of it, you've made a profit. Yeah, if you haven't, you've made a loss. If you do not make profit in business, then it's not a business. Yeah, it's a hobby. If you can afford to fund
There's
a
nothing
hobby,
wrong with that. You might have a hobby, might be yachting, playing golf, you're going to spend money on it.
Yeah.
If you have a hobby making fetish clothing and you're going to take a stand at Birmingham Bazaar and here and there, and that's just a hobby, fine.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's not a business. Yeah, if you're not making a profit, it's not a business. And I think a lot of people get confused with turnover and profit. Yeah, money is coming in, but if you don't measure your costs, and if you don't know what profit margin you make, and if you're doing that on a regular basis, you're not going to be doing it for very long, because you're not going to make any money.
Now, personal stuff. You've been involved with this for quite a number of years. We've known each other for quite a number of years. Do you find, how much has this changed your personal life? That is to say, years and years ago you got into this because you were a player. You went to these clubs and you did stuff which we're not going to talk about in front of the cameras. I've still got the pictures, but there. So do you find that this has had an effect on your personal life? I'm thinking particularly a bad effect on your personal life. Do you find that you play less with your partner nowadays than you did before? That you just want to have your slippers on and a takeaway, whereas before, it was a bit racy.
Yes. Is it in a bad way? I wouldn't say it's in a bad way. Yes, I do. It has had an effect on my personal life, of course. Instead of going to clubs and playing at clubs, I'm now going to clubs and working at clubs. And there is an aspect of, it is not appropriate, given what I do for a living, running HandJobs Media. It is not always appropriate for me to play in the way that I did when I wasn't running HandJobs Media. It doesn't mean to say I don't play. It just means to say that I work more and my play is more private.
Michaela, thank you for being interviewed. Good to see you. And if you've got a fetish business, large or small, get your marketing help from handjobsmedia.com.